Hey guys, what's going on? Druzy here, back again with another South Park Phone Destroyer video and talking about a topic that you guys have been requesting for quite a while, and one of my kind of beginner guides that I'm trying to do for the new year here of 2020, and we're focusing right now on my opinion for the top 5 best theme combinations currently within South Park Phone Destroyer. Now, this list I compiled is mostly based on what I've been noticing played out so far in Legendary Arena, especially from some of the top players, mostly top 200, even top 25 players currently within South Park Phone Destroyer. Now, these combinations may not work as well in bronze or in silver. I'm not saying they won't work, but a lot of the cards that I'm going to look at, I'm going to showcase for you guys an image of a lot of the cards within that specific theme combination that are the main focus of those decks. There are going to be some interchangeable pieces. I will discuss that when we get to each one. I will start at number 5, work my way to number 1. And at the very end of the video, guys, I'm going to show you the top 5 current decks being used by the top 5 players right now, rank-wise, in ELO score right now within the game, and all 5 of these players are over 9,000 ELO right now as I'm recording this video. Now, these top 5 players may change. That's why I didn't put their new kids or their names or things like that, because these decks or these positions could change by the end of the day. This is the last day that I'm recording this, the last day of the Legendary Season. Legendary Season will reset tomorrow, and then, of course, a new season will start, and players will be interchangeable as far as who is the top player right now in the game. But I'm not saying these are the top 5 players overall. These are just the top 5 ranked players currently at the time of recording, and I will showcase their decks all the way, the number 1 person up to 5 as well. So that will come at the very end, but we're going to talk about, again, the top 5 themes in my opinion. This is my opinion alone. I didn't get this from anywhere else. So if you guys may or may not agree with me with this listing, if that is the case, as always, let me know down below in the comment section what you think the best theme combinations are within the game as far as deck composition is concerned. But I'm pretty confident that these 5, or at least 4 of these, are very accurate. The 5th one might be a little bit wonky and may not necessarily be as fully accurate. But again, this is my opinion, so let's go ahead and start with number 5. So guys, coming in at number 5 is Mystical and Superheroes. So these two themes combined together. Now, Superheroes provides a lot of value right now. They're an extremely strong theme right now within the meta, and to me, Mystical is the strongest theme overall. It's the best standalone theme. It does a great job of synergizing with every theme. There is really no weakness right now, in my opinion, to Mystical, other than a couple of cards. But I mean, as far as the theme as a whole, it's extremely strong, has a lot of value to it. I'm going to showcase for you here on screen. Here we go, guys. Over here to the side are some of the cards that I think are very instrumental in the popularity or the strength of this theme combination with Mystical and Superheroes. You have, of course, a focus on legendary cards. Legendary cards are some of the strongest cards in the game, but with Hanky and something like Human Kite, a lot of potential for a lot of safety within this deck. You can Master Ninja may or may not be in this deck. I put him in here primarily because he's very good at boosting up someone like Medusa Bebe. He can be very useful for getting Mosquito much stronger, things like that. So there is interchangeable pieces within this theme to where obviously having 2 Kyles is going to be a weakness for you. This is not something that I would highly suggest to do, is have 2 different Kyles. So whichever one you think is the stronger of the 2, either Human Kite for survivability or Master Ninja for the extra output and damage, that is up to you. But I feel like the survivability of Human Kite oftentimes trumps Master Ninja. But if you have a level 4 Ninja, let's say, over a level 4 Human Kite, I would probably say a level 4 Ninja would be stronger there. But if you had, say, a level 4 Human Kite and a level 3 Ninja like I do, I would say Human Kite provides more value for you with this combination. I mean, Toolshed is a high tier card. Professor Chaos is very strong. There are Zen Cartman's good, Witch Doctor Token, Dr. Timothy. These are all very strong cards right now, and combined together is very good. One of the weaknesses of Superheroes is that their spells are irrelevant really right now, with Super Fart not really providing any value at all as far as damage output is concerned. But with this theme combination with Mystical, you will have Unholy Combustion. You can have something like Power Bind to deal with a lot of these very strong charge unit abilities. There is some good combination of spells you could throw in as interchangeable pieces. Also, one of the weaknesses kind of for Superheroes is the lack of assassins or strong assassins, and you have that with Mystical with someone like Choirboy Butters, like someone like Hermes Kenny, things like that. There is a lot of interchangeable pieces within these 2 themes that I think can make it a very strong combination, which is why I have it at number 5. So now that we've talked about number 5, let us quickly move on to what I think is the 4th best combo right now. Right now, the 4th best combo, in my opinion, is Adventure and Mystical. Now, there is a couple of combinations that you can have with this specifically, but there are a few cards that are pretty much main dominant within this combination of themes, which of course is shown right here to the side. Now, there is one major card out of these cards that is the most interchangeable right now, and the meta has shifted away from in top tier legendary, which is Santa. Santa is very popular in this theme combination because Stain of Many Moons and Witch Doctor Token, for instance, are extremely strong with Santa at the helm. Obviously, Medicine Woman Sharon was very popular in this combination, but she has since fallen from this kind of theme combo, primarily just due to the fact that she doesn't ridiculously heal the new kit as much anymore. I'm not saying Sharon isn't used in this style of deck, but you see there's a lot of interchangeable pieces here, but this is the main combination I've noticed quite a bit in Legendary, and instead of Santa, recently I've seen a big shift to Satan. Satan has had a huge emergence in the meta recently. He's become, or has been noticed to be, very strong by a lot of people. Satan is much stronger right now within the meta for, I guess, the main reason that people have him to higher levels. That's really the only thing I can think of. I don't think Satan provides a ton of value other than his war cry, his overall stats. He is a really beefy tank, or really beefy range unit, but then he doesn't provide a lot of damage. But with someone like Ninju, which you can obviously put in this deck and probably would be seen in this deck quite a bit, with Ninju and Satan paired together, you could boost his damage, you know, up to 108 or even more if you have, of course, Ninju at level 4, but most top tier legendary players will have Ninju at level 4, so level 4 Ninju paired with someone like Satan, that's a lot of extra damage with his ridiculous amount of health, and unless you cancel him directly, which some might, but most won't, then you could see Satan being very useful and can stop many pushes coming at you. So that's really the only difference I've noticed within this combo, but Santa Claus and Stain of Many Moons, a lot of people are very frustrated with this combination. It's very potent and very destructive, and it's seen quite a bit within the current meta. So that is what I think is number 4. Let's move on to number 3. Coming in number 3 for me is Mystical Fantasy. Now, Mystical Fantasy is an extremely strong combination. This combination has been around for quite a while. It's taken a few steps back for a couple of different card additions, and many people now having leveled certain cards and some of the buff changes that have happened recently. But Mystical Fantasy is still a very potent combination. It still has a variety of within the deck combos. These are the 2 top themes overall, in my opinion, as far as themes in general. I think that Mystical and Fantasy are the top 2 themes hands down right now in the current meta, and the combination of those 2 themes put together just makes it that much more annoying and hard to deal with. Here are some popular cards that you will see in a Mystical Fantasy deck. Obviously, something like Pope Timmy, Grand Wizard Cartman. Grand Wizard Cartman is seen a lot. He's one of the strongest tanks in the game right now, in my opinion, and with Pope Timmy reviving him back to life, because oftentimes you're going to cancel out Grand Wizard Cartman for obvious reasons. You don't want his charge ability being used against you, and he just has a ridiculous amount of health. So in that situation, obviously you have Pope Timmy to revive, produce a Bebe back in the back behind Grand Wizard Cartman, so it's going to do a crap ton of damage. Witch Doctor Broken obviously is very good. Dragon Slayer Red is the strongest card in the entire game right now, in my opinion. Hanky will boost the amount of damage that Grand Wizard Cartman is going to do. It's also going to make Witch Doctor Broken be able to use his ability more often. And then you have something like Energy Staff, because this would be a very expensive style deck. There are multiple interchangeable parts here. Oftentimes you'll see things like Shieldman and Wendy used. You'll see, of course, Hermes Kenny and Choir Boy Butters often used, because Hermes Kenny and Energy Staff mesh so well together that it just makes obvious sense to use them. Then you'll usually see a combination of cancel cards also thrown in with this deck. You may see Cock Magic, you may see Transmog, you may see Unholy Combustion. Generally, lately, I've been noticing at least 2 cancel cards used in this type of theme combination. Usually Cock Magic and Unholy Combustion are the more popular ones, because Unholy Combustion will do direct nuke damage if you need to at the last minute. And then, of course, you also have Cock Magic, one of the strongest spells in the entire game right now. The fact that you can wipe multiple cards away. Then use Medusa Bebe or somebody to be able to immediately take that damage or take that damage away. Also, another assassin unit that is now extremely popular with this theme combo is Underpants Gnomes, because Underpants Gnomes recently received a buff, and they are very strong as well. There is interchangeable pieces. This isn't always the way that this deck combination is put together, but this is just one of the more popular ways I've noticed, or at least popular cards that are generally in those combos, and ones you should be wary of that they could possibly come out at any time. That's mostly what this video kind of focuses on. But there we go. That's number 3. Let's move on to what I think is the number 2 deck right now. now. At number 2, I have SciFi Fantasy. Now, the main reason for this being higher up, especially due to the fact that fantasy and sci-fi are not the top theme in my opinion, which a lot of you would be like, oh my god, Druzy, how could you possibly say this? Because in my opinion, there are two main decks that are the focus of this combination specifically, and it revolves around a couple of different cards, but one main card that is often used in this style of deck is of course our good friend Elven King Bradley. So down here is the Elven King Bradley version of this deck combination. Of course, Elven King Bradley, you have Visitors, often Blood Elf Bebe is used, Amazingly Randy, Bounty Hunter Kyle, Warboy Tweak, and Mecha Timmy. Now, the other combination of cards are completely up to you, usually with this combination, or completely up to the person that's playing this style of deck, but usually these 7 cards are pretty much almost guaranteed in this version of this deck. Now, again, there are interchangeable pieces, and usually a tank is involved, something like Slave usually, or even sometimes Asimo can be used in this style of deck, but this is extremely popular. This one is running rampant right now within the meta, and unless you have something to deal with Elven King Bradley, this deck is extremely difficult to deal with because there's a lot of potential to buff these cards and make them ridiculously strong with Bounty Hunter Kyle used at the right time, paired with Bradley, to just give an insane amount of damage buff with the range, different things like that. It's very difficult to deal with this deck. There are other versions of this style of deck as well that is extremely popular. Often you'll see this type of version without Bradley whatsoever, and you'll see it with, instead of Amazingly Randy, you'll see Sixth Element Randy instead, and some other cards will be intertwined with as well. But this combination is very potent, very strong. There are a lot of interchangeable pieces here because, again, Sci-Fi's biggest weakness to me is the fact that there is no cancel card. So obviously with something like Fantasy paired with it, you have the option of 2 cancel cards at your disposal, with both Transmog and Cock Magic being those 2 cards. And then you have a lot of cheap units that you can intertwine with this theme. Something like Space Warrior Token, something like Enforcer Jimmy. You have the ability to have obviously all this range units with some good tank options in Slave, in Asimo, and even Grand Wizard Cartman if you want to, but then of course if Grand Wizard Cartman's canceled out, you can't bring them back. But there are a lot of interchangeable pieces with very cheap cards that you can cycle through very quickly. Underpants Gnomes are also one of those cards that's interchangeable. You can even throw in something Paladin Butters as well if you want to. There is a lot of potential with these theme combination and is extremely popular. This was my favorite theme combo up until Superheroes was introduced. I really like playing sci-fi and fantasy. This was a strong combination for me and got me to the highest level that I was able to obtain until Superheroes came out, and now I've been able to eclipse 8K ELO myself with that theme combination. But this theme combination, very potent, very popular. Of different versions of this theme, these 2 theme combinations, that makes this such a potent combination. But now that we've talked about number 2, let's get to the coup de grace, or the one you've all been waiting for, what I think is the top theme combo right now. To me, the top theme combo right now in the game, and one of the more popular ones, is SciFi Mystical. SciFi Mystical is extremely good because of the fact that you have a lot of different interchangeable parts yet again, cheaper units with sci-fi, and very strong legendaries and cancel card with Unholy Combustion as well as Powerbind. So strong spells with Mystical, strong legendaries with Mystical. Sci-fi has strong legendaries as well, so it's just a ridiculous combination altogether. Here is a popular version of this deck that I have seen as far as card options for you. The last card is usually one that a lot of people mess around with and can, you know, obviously be whatever you want it to be. A big resurgence within the meta, or a big surgence up in the meta, has been Alien Queen Red. She's been running rampant lately for Sci-Fi to be used as their version of a spell because her stats were greatly increased. Her poison now, because not very many people, if any really, are running Purify right now. Purify still isn't really being ran in the top tier meta of Legendary Arena right now, which is slightly baffling to me because I've seen a huge increase in sci-fi and mystical use, and because of that you've seen a lot of Alien Queen Red, and that's really the only card of these 2 theme combinations to where Purify would be really necessary. So I kind of understand why a lot of mystical users aren't necessarily running Purify, but it was a little surprising to me. I thought Purify would see more play, but it really hasn't. But This deck, yes, isn't fully completed. It's the most fully complete deck that I've showcased here as far as the theme combos. But as you can see, there's a very strong deck. There's some interchangeable parts here. Warboy Tweak can or cannot be used if you don't want to, and you can sub them out for a couple of different units within both these two theme combinations. Hanky can be used in this and has been used in this, primarily to get more 6th element Randy Roombas out there, which can be very good as tank units to kind of help your push go forward and things like that. Again, there is a lot of potential here for interchangeable pieces, and sometimes you don't even need a tank at all, but Zen Cartman to me provides a good amount of value here with this availability here. You also have Pope Timmy at your disposal, or you could use Mecha Timmy, a very strong legendary card in its own right as well. But I see a lot of Pope Timmy more recently with this theme combo for the main reason of because a lot of these great legendary cards are canceled out immediately. Randy is very popular to cancel, as well as Dusa, or even Witch Doctor Broken, or you can just use Pope Timmy to revive one of these legendaries after they've died naturally by doing their thing, fighting a bunch of enemies, maybe taking a bar for you, and then bringing them back to have a secondary push forward. So there's a lot of potential with this theme combo. There's a lot of strengths with this theme combo. There are some weaknesses, but in my opinion, this is the strongest theme combo right now within the game. But again, I know you guys are going to probably disagree with some of the picks that I've made here, or maybe you have a theme combination that you think is stronger than this. Always let me know down in the comments section. But now I'm going to show you, as promised, what the top 5 players currently ranked in Phone Destroyer, what decks they are using right now, so you get an idea of what some of the top legendary players are playing right now. I know the decks are kind of distorted, I do apologize for that, but this is currently the top 5 players. So the number 1 player currently in the ranked overall in Phone Destroyer right now is there at the top, and currently the number 5 player is down there at the bottom. But you see, a lot of the theme combos that we discussed are here. You see at the very top, you have Mystical Fantasy. At number 2, you have SciFi and Fantasy as well. Then you have SciFi and Mystical there at number 3. You have Adventure and SciFi, which is kind of a surprise there at number 4. I honestly didn't think that combination would still be used very often. I don't see a ton of players using that combo, but I'm not saying it's not a good one. And then you have Fantasy and Superheroes there at number 5, which I know that I had Superheroes and Mystical as my top superhero deck, but this one definitely seems to have some variety here, definitely seems to have some potency, and could be a very strong combo altogether. But as you see in 4 of these 5 decks, what is one thing they all have in common? Satan. Satan is in 4 of these top 5 players' decks. As I've mentioned, he's seen a huge resurgence. As you see in the people using Fantasy, a very popular thing to use is, of course, you see Dragon Slayer Red in all of those decks. You see Underpants Gnomes in almost all of those decks. There's a lot of similarities with card usage within this meta. And you see a ton of legendaries being used as well, which is also very popular, and a lot of these people have very high level legendary cards. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know this was a video that you guys have been requesting for quite some time now, and hopefully this helped you get an idea for some of the newer players as far as some theme combos you should work towards here in the future, as well as you get to see what some of the top players are using right now to best get an assessment of where some of the top cards are landing or where some of the top combos are. Again, any suggestions for videos you guys have in the future for this new year, let me know. I am always glad to look at those and try to make some videos for you guys. I did enjoy making this video for you guys to help you guys out on your Phone Destroyer journey. And until next time, guys, my name is Druzy.